Hey everyone, we are back for another week of exciting rehearsals. This week we are talking disaster planning and recovery. We'll also find out what made Trish say,
well, no, I would still need you to chaperone one of the buses. I'm like, it's game one. I've waited since 2009 for this.
And why Austin said,
I want that. I want this one. I want that one. I want this one. And then next thing you know, if you're good enough, you might have some drum corps fighting over you. I think that's funny.
All this and more, so get out on the field and we'll see you back on the sidelines for this week's episode of On a Water Break.
8 off the mat and go.
Welcome to On a Water Break, the podcast where we talk everything marching arts.
Everyone, bring it in. It's time for a water break.
Welcome to another episode of Season 2 of On a Water Break, the podcast where we talk about everything you and your friends are talking about at rehearsal. On a Water Break. I'm Ricardo Robinson Chanel, and as Bandtober begins to wrap up, one thing that some bands had to deal with this year that many did not, it's the ever-changing climate and the scarier and scarier natural disasters that occurred this year. With hurricanes ravaging the country, many bands have had to pivot or almost completely stop their fall seasons. But before we dive into it, let's see who's on the sideline this week. Joey, you're back again this week, and you have some exciting guest clinicians you brought. Mm-hmm. We'll get to them in just a second, but I also heard that you were judging the state championships in Wyoming.
Absolutely. I've been judging for about 10 years at this point, and I thought I'd seen it all. The Wyoming State Marching Band Festival is held in an ice rink. It's 20-20 with the front 20 cut off by the horseshoe. And that's not the craziest part of it at all. Being there in Wyoming in the rural space, they told us, hey, we're kind of behind the times. And I was expecting, not what I saw. They're really not behind as far behind the times as they said. But the other thing that I thought was amazing is if you weren't currently warming up, you were in the stands and supporting the group that was going on. The amount of camaraderie there was incredible.
I love that.
Yeah, they would say from so and so Wyoming, and they would literally call the groups to attention, and they would stand at attention as the group paraded on the floor. It was so cool. I had such a fun time, and it was cool to be around all the trooper friends out there. I hit Troopers Bingo for the first time in my life. It was just an awesome experience.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
I think I had another friend that was judging with you. Allie Weber and Michael Weber, they were judging at that show too. So That's awesome. Trish, my love. How's Bandtober for you? I do fine, Shug.
I know.
How's your Bandtober been?
It's been crazy. As a matter of fact, I was so jealous that I couldn't be on the episode about Bandtober because I was doing Bandtober. So it's been really, really crazy. But it's wrapping up. We have state championships on Saturday and nationals at MetLife Stadium on next Saturday, and then we're done, and then we jump right into Winter Guard. So all good here.
Nice. Well, good skill to you this weekend at your state championships.
Thank you.
Also, good skill to your baseball team, the Yankees.
Oh, there are a lot of people up on this podcast that are trying not to hear me, but I could see two faces right now showing their gear right now. I'm going to show my Aaron Judge MVP, even though he didn't really do much in the ALCS. It's all good. That's another episode. That's another issue with Bandtober I'm trying to work out. I have to go to a football game Friday night, game 1, and state championships on Saturday, game 2.
But you know what? That's why we have cell phones. You can watch the game on your phone.
That's exactly what I'm going to be doing. One of the playoff games, I was at a show and I had my AirPods in, and I was like, "Oh, I'm listening to commentary, for commentary." So, trying to figure all that out. But you know what? I sadly, although I am a Yankees partial season ticket holder, I will not be going to the World Series, sadly, because I priced out my seats, section 214A at Yankee Stadium, Saturday morning before the Yankees had even clinched $3,000.
Oh.
Now
Wow.
they're up to 4,000. So not
Yeah, I
happening.
saw that the other day. The nosebleed seats are like they start at like $2,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, Austin, you are down here with me in Florida, and you know all too well the issues we have down here. But what's going on with you?
We're good. It's been fun. We're finally starting to wind down a little bit on the back half of Bantober, which is not normal for me, but I'm kind of welcome to it. Luckily, my side of the state didn't get too bad of the hurricane, from what I understand. I mean, I wasn't in town, but from what I understand, we didn't even lose power. So you know what? I see it as a win. I really thought there was going to be a tree on my car. There was not a tree on my car. It was a win.
You did get a win, man. Especially without losing power in Florida. It's too hot.
I know. I mean, I wouldn't have been here anyway, but still. I was more worried about more worried about the contents of my fridge and my car than anything else. But nothing happened, so
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah, I'll talk about that later when we get into the weather stuff about my fridge and my car and the power and all of that stuff. But we have a few guest clinicians joining us tonight, all whom have had some issues with the severe weather this year. And I'm very excited because our first guest is my nearest and dearest and my permanent Valentine. We'll talk about that later on. But the one, the only, Pat Miller. Pat, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Ricardo. It's awesome to be here.
So, Pat, when we have guests on this show, we do a little thing with them. It's called a 32 count life story. So you're going to get 8 clicks off the Met, and then you are going to tell us in 32 counts. Don't rush, don't be slow, don't drag the phrase. You're going to tell us your life story from birth all the way up to, what you have for dinner tonight. Whatever you feel like stopping is where you stop at, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
All right, you ready to do this? 8 off the
I'm
Met,
ready.
you're in. Here we go.
Okay. I grew up outside of DC, and I have, obviously, like most of us, done music just about all of my life. I grew up in Virginia and went to George Mason University, marched cadets, late 80s, then started teaching drum corps and teaching high school marching band and did all of those things. I was a band director for most of the last 30 years. But I taught in private schools a long time, so it gave me the opportunity to continue to live in this world and do marching band and all of that. I now live in Asheville, North Carolina, speaking of weather, after having spent 22 years in Florida.
Yeah. All right. That's a good story. You left out all the important parts that, the reason Pat is my permanent Valentine, listeners, is because for the last 10 years, Pat and I have worked together side by side, and both of our spouses worked in the food industry. So we would always have a winter guard rehearsal on Valentine's Day, and our spouses would both be at work serving everybody else. So we have been each other's permanent Valentine for the last 10 years, 10, 11, 12 years.
So, yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's been a good while.
It's been a while. It has been a while. All right. And another great perspective we get tonight is from a performer and what they have to go through. So Eva wins performer Eros Trujillo, who is a student at Western Carolina University. Eros, you just heard Pat give his 32 count life story. We want you to do the same thing. You understand how it goes?
Yep.
All right. You're going to get 8 off the Met, and then you are in, sir.
Sweet. All right, so my name is Eros Trujillo. I was born in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And then my whole marching arts story begins in a little town called Benson. That's where I went to high school. And then I went to West Johnston. I performed 4 years of all the different ensembles and stuff like that. And then my senior year, I got this amazing opportunity with Joey Montes to create a group called Eva Independent. And so that's where I am. And then currently I'm studying music education here at Western Carolina University.
Fantastic.
Go Eros! Woo!
So, Pat, you are now currently making your life as strictly like a drill designer and drill writer. Eros, you are a performer and a student, and you both are in the state of North Carolina. What was it like living in a state that's not supposed to get hurricanes, or should I say, living in an area that's not supposed to get hurricanes, and then all of a sudden you get this massive hurricane that comes through and just tears up everything?
I will say, having lived in Florida for the last 22 years, and we've been through our fair share of them, when I moved up here in May, it was not on my bingo card that this was going to happen. It's been interesting. It's been a very, very interesting process. We didn't have power for 10 days, and I was still finishing shows and trying to send off drill and access to Wi-Fi. And yeah, it's been an adventure that I don't think I expected to have happen, for sure.
Eros, what about you?
So this is really like my first time ever experiencing like a hurricane. And what's weird about it, it was in the mountains. You wouldn't expect a hurricane to like just show up and tear apart like cities and towns up out here. But my experience so far here, like boots on the ground, has been pretty bizarre. I never thought I would see like like big cities like Asheville like underwater, and then like little like towns around it like absolutely decimated and destroyed. So whenever it hit, I was still in school. It hit like that Friday morning, and then I clearly remember that we lost like here at WCU, we lost internet and cell service for around 30 hours. Luckily, the school here has set up landlines so we can contact our families, and I did manage to go home shortly after. But I decided to come back and help the people here because I just felt guilty seeing so much destruction and so much lives changed. So I like helped clean up some of the areas here and like in some of the food pantries around.
Wow, you're just a great person. To think about others, in this situation and to go and put in the work, man, that's awesome. So you do a core style show. Has your program at Western Carolina been affected because of the storm and school being out, all that good stuff?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It has affected us a lot. So I'll give you some perspective. Before the storm hit, we had just finished like our first game of the season. So we had only performed once in uniform so far this season, and um, whenever it hit, we had only just performed the first movement of the show. But our current band director here really wanted to like you know try to like put the entire show together. So whenever we came back last week around like Friday Thursday, we basically did like half like a mini like band camp sort of thing all over again. So we managed to put the rest of the show on within a day and a half, and so we went from learning like just part one of our show to like the whole show. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty magical. And then we ended up doing here at WCO, we host Tournament of Champions, which is like a marching band competition.
A huge marching competition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I went there on Saturday. It was good.
yeah, it was pretty amazing seeing like how many bands still came out, even though a couple of them did decide not to come. Um, we put on a good show. I'd say it was pretty special what we did here and for the community. So that's what I'm proud of so far. And then on Thursday, we're heading out to perform at the Bands of America Super Regional here over there at St. Louis. So that's pretty cool too.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's going to be a good trip too. I think it's awesome the fact that you guys only had one movement of the show on, and then all of a sudden you got to have like a day and a half of camp, and you put the rest of the show on. See, that's amazing, an amazing feat. Yeah, that can only be done by talented performers and talented directors who can put that on. Pat, in your world right now with getting drill and shows done for people, what have you noticed has been the trend for people completing their shows, all of that good stuff?
Generally, in most cases, it just slowed the process down. Just getting people, one, I was able to getting stuff in people's hands. It just took me longer individually to do it because I had to write at home, and then I had to go down to the hospital to get Wi-Fi and access power and do all those things. We had a generator here, but it didn't give me access to Wi-Fi. But the programs were all they were all behind schedule, and I have 5 programs in Florida, and every single one of them was a little behind because of that. It just took them longer to get it done, and because some missed a week of school, some missed a week and a half of school. Up here in Buncombe County, where I live in Asheville, they've been out for 3.5 weeks now, and they're starting to go back at the end of the week. They're finally going to get to go back into school here. The school with the director you're going to have on later on today, his school they did the Western Carolina University show this past weekend, and they're not even back in school yet. But they allowed them to start rehearsing and practicing last week at school, all the athletics and band and things. So, they're finding ways to work around it, but just everything got slower. My process was a little slower, and everybody was just slower in teaching and learning what they had to do. Some programs just had their first show last weekend between missing football games and competitions. It just really, you look at the end of September to the first part of October, and that's a huge amount of time right there for everybody's schedule. Even in Florida, that's really the center part of all those shows. And for other states, that's nearing the end of their season. So it's as it is up here. There's only like 2 weeks left of shows up here, and some groups just had their first one. It just took everything longer. Fortunately, everybody is doing it, and everybody's getting back into the groove, which is great. There's nothing better than when you hear about finally able to rehearse, finally able to get their stuff done. But it's been an interesting situation. I don't think I'd ever thought I would experience one of this magnitude. And like what he mentioned earlier, the areas around here some of the towns are just decimated, and the fact that they can do anything is impressive just to get any program functioning.
Yeah. I really try not to talk about the craziness that we all went through 4 years ago, but this kind of sounds like what we had to go through with COVID and trying to find ways to get music education to continue through the unbearable and unimaginable. And, as terrible as that experience was for everybody, I feel like in these instances, it's proven that it made us stronger, made us, think outside the box. So, I mean, being able to rehearse when there's no school, being able to send I sent UDB drill, and there's kids learning drill on Roblox right now across the nation. Finding those directors that are finding opportunities for their students to continue with music education and continue with art. I applaud them, and in this instance here in Western North Carolina, all of these directors are just trying their hardest to keep their kids active and out of the craziness, and it's amazing. It's crazy.
I completely agree with you, Joey. It does. Hearing these stories does remind me, A, of COVID, and B, a little bit what we went through in the tri-state area up here when we had Superstorm Sandy. I remember that when we were getting ready for Superstorm Sandy, this was a band director a go for us, and we weren't a super competitive band at that time, which was fine, whatever. But we had our big festival coming up that Sunday, and Sandy was supposed to and did hit that Monday. And I remember the band director calling me. Turns out the sad part of the story is he ended up, I think he knew, but he ended up retiring at the end of the year. So he never got to do that big festival, his last one. But he called me that Sunday, or maybe even Saturday, I don't remember. And he said, the festival's canceled. And I said, well, why? And he said, well, because the storm is coming. I said, yeah, Monday. Well, what does that have to do with Sunday? And he said, well, we can't expect people to come out and watch a marching band show when they're running to the store to buy batteries and gas and stuff like that. So they canceled it. And it kind of made me think about when you just mentioned COVID, weren't we trying to, once we found out we were going to be quarantined, trying to squeeze every little ounce of freedom out? I was trying that at that point. I was trying to say, can't we just get that one show in before we, before it starts, pouring and winning on us? And the same thing with COVID. As a teacher, when I found out that, we were going to not, that Friday, I think it was the 13th of March 13th or whatever, was going to be our last day of school. Driving home from school that day, I was like, well, I wonder if I can hit this, and this on my way home before I end up in quarantine. So it's kind of we're trying to squeeze that little ounce of normalcy that we have, right? So
yeah, and getting back to it as fast as we can, and especially thinking about kids and their mental health, like getting them
Yes.
back to something that brings them joy. Like I just applaud all these directors who jumped on and were ready to go. All right, I think it is time for us to do a little bit of news. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with some news that is wonderful for our On a Water Break family because we have a new addition to the On a Water Break family. So
We sure
on
do.
October the 11th at 12:39 p.m., baby Marianne Lynn, our own Jackie Brown, her baby came into this world at 7 pounds, 10 ounces, and 20 inches long. So, guys, I know that like you don't get to know all of the behind the scenes stuff that happens for On a Water Break, but in our chat group, Jackie was saying for days, she was just like, I want this baby out. It's time for this baby to come. And she came through. Baby Miriam made her entrance into this world, and she is absolutely beautiful. If you have not gone and checked out pictures, you can check her pictures out on Jackie's personal social media accounts. And there are some pictures, I believe, on our On a Water Break social media, as well as the Spintronic social media. But Jackie said her goal was for labor to go faster and be better than the labor with Victor, which is where the epidural didn't work. And she reacted to everything they gave her because of allergies. And it took 2 hours of active pushing with Victor. But Baby Marian had different plans. Baby Marian had cooked long enough, and she only had 3 minutes of active labor, and she pushed twice.
I mean, it's so exciting. It's so exciting for all of us. I mean, we were here for the pregnancy announcement, and here we are at the birth announcement, and we've, kind of been with her on chat every step of the way, and it's just really, really great. So congratulations.
Yeah, we're so happy for her. Austin, what do you got, sir?
Well, first of all, I'm happy for Jackie. That baby looks healthy. I'm loving it. 2 hours is much longer than 3 minutes, and I think we beat a goal, and I don't think we can get much better than that. But
can I just say that before you say that? I want to smell that baby's head.
I know,
I love smelling babies' heads. They smell so good. I can't wait to smell that baby's head when I see Jackie.
But Midwest Combine is doing an experience camp again. It was an absolute hit last year. So if you are interested in marching drum corps, I highly, highly, highly recommend getting out to this camp. And especially if you live in the Midwest. So all the drum corps that are going to be there, it's one big old camp. It's going to be at Oak Creek High School in Wisconsin. It's a registration fee of $50 on October 27th, where Phantom Regiment, Madison Scouts, Blue Stars, Cavaliers, Colts, and River City Rhythm are all going to be in attendance looking for you to join their drum corps. So it's pretty much just like a big old open house. So you get a full day of instruction. Like 2 or 3 staff members from every single drum corps will be there. You'll get a t-shirt, a sticker, and lunch. That's all included in the $50.
How cool is that?
I know, right? It's such a good way to kind of like consult. It kind of feels like an NFL draft combine in a way. Teams are coming here to look at you, and they're like, "Hey, I want that. I want this one. I want that one. I want this one." And then next thing you know, if you're good enough, you might have some drum corps fighting over you. I think that's funny.
It's just cool to have groups do things together.
Yeah.
Just that doing things together is such a cool way to make it happen. It doesn't seem like we do as much of that anymore.
Yeah. The idea of camaraderie, especially with how difficult it is to be a drum corps these days, I think is great. And the fact that they're willing to work together. I mean, how hard is it? We all know how hard it is to create a team that works together to work with the same kids. Could you imagine creating teams that work together? I think that's pretty incredible.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the whole goal of it is just like get your feet wet. It's kind of like a half day thing. So you do. So they got the BCI's got the schedule posted. So 8 a.m. registration, 9 a.m. to 12. You're going to do just sectionals. You'll have lunch for 45 minutes. So 12:45 to 3:15, you'll do more sectional instruction. And then at 3:15, there's a Q&A session with all the core directors that are going to be there. And then at 4 o'clock, there's going to be an info fair with individual core.
Wow.
So I think it's a great opportunity. You get to show up, you get to do a little bit of drum corps, you get to find out who's about what, you get to go figure out where you want to go. And then all the reviews from last year saying it was such no pressure. It was so fun. Like I didn't have to worry about like messing anything up. I didn't have to worry about an audition. I didn't have to do any of that.
It's like a little drum corps charcuterie board. You know, you get a taste of this, a taste of that.
Exactly.
You know, we love a charcuterie board.
Charcuterie board.
I like what you did there.
Oh, Joey.
Oh.
I had to lighten it up before my news story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair point.
Yeah. I'll jump right in. WGI mourns the loss of Virginia Balsarek. I'm going to read exactly what WGI put on their website because I think it's just beautifully put, and I don't think there's any words past what they've put in. So I'll read it here. Virginia Balsarek, a cherished and dedicated WGI World Championships volunteer, passed away peacefully on Friday, October 18th. Her commitment to WGI spanned over 40 years, leaving an enduring impression on generations of performers, staff, and fellow volunteers. A service to honor Virginia's life will be held on Friday, November 1st, which I think is when this podcast is gonna come out at 3:30, followed by the Rosary at 5:30 p.m. at the Crass Funeral Home in Milwaukee. Virginia Balsarek was a beacon of selfless service, demonstrating how one person can make a profound difference. Her spirit of service will forever be remembered, and her absence will be deeply felt within the WGI community. I have, and I think we all do, have pretty personal and heartwarming stories with many WGI volunteers. I mean, sorry.
It's okay. We know.
Yeah, I mean,
we're here for you.
Yeah, they do so much, and my significant other jumped on as a volunteer this past winter, and she just absolutely loved the experience and loved helping out, and that's where those people belong, and they make the experience for the students and the staff so positive, and when we lose somebody like this, I think it's I think it is deeply felt, and it's just sad, and I really appreciate everything that WGI does, and the volunteers are just an extension of that. And I think that as we rally around losses like this, I think it's important to find time and make sure that the last times you say things to people are positive, and you give everybody a hug when you can, because you never know when the last time's going to be. So sorry I teared up there, but I have a deep part and a big part in my heart for all WGI volunteers, and immediately like that, just same thing with like band parents and everything. It's just it's sad to see them go, and I love the work that they all do. So.
Yeah, I had the wonderful privilege of knowing Verge from my time marching the Cavaliers, because she was one of our Cavalier mothers. And you want to talk about being just the nicest and kindest person, but also being that strong mother figure that like 140 young men need when they're all surrounded by each other. And Verge was able to do that. She was just loving, and she was sweet, but she also knew exactly how to get us together. And because we loved and respected her so much, we did what Mama Verge said anytime.
Did she have a family member in the Corps or previously, or just one of those wonderful?
I am not sure if she did before or not. I know definitely not when I was marching there.
Okay, so just one of those wonderful people who wants to do good things.
Who always wants to help and do good things. So she was always there.
I'm telling you, this activity would not function without people like that.
Right.
it's just what it is. Like, without those volunteers, without those band parents, without those people who are just willing to just volunteer and give their time, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing at all.
1,000%.
Like,
Yep.
they definitely, they keep this activity running, and silently too.
Yep. All right, let's change the tone just a little bit. Pat, what do you have for us?
This past weekend on Sunday, out in Mooresville, North Carolina, which is just a little north of Charlotte, a band director from Lake Norman High School put together a big fundraiser, basically a benefit to raise money for North Carolina, for Western North Carolina, and all the disaster going on with the hurricane, as we previously mentioned, and had people from elementary school kids all the way up to retired musicians show up. Everybody could just bring your instrument and show up and play. And they raised, had people donated money, donated items. They were working through an organization, Samaritan's Purse, and they were collecting things and supplies and getting things to them so they could bring it and deliver it to Western North Carolina. And they said it was just an amazing experience, and a whole small U-Haul truckload full of items they got donated. But they said the amazing part was just the fact that it was 10-year-olds up to 80-year-olds all together, just mixed in, playing music, having a concert, and doing what musicians do, which is, I've always considered that to be one of our gifts as musicians, that we can perform and create music for people, whether it's in a great happy situation or an unfortunate situation where you're trying to just help out. And it was an amazing event, and they're still going to continue to collect things as they can. Just a great opportunity for somebody on this side of the state and a whole bunch of people to get together to try to help out fellow North Carolinians and all of the things that go along with that. I think that's about it.
Yeah, I love stuff like that, just because it kind of hits home to me, because I don't know if you guys know this, I am also from North Carolina. I'm from the Charlotte area, so like seeing all this stuff out of Western North Carolina, like talking about the TOC show, I went there as a high schooler pretty much every single year. So watching all this go down, it's heartbreaking. But at the same time, like looking at all these things that all these people from my hometown and people from Florida and people from Georgia, South Carolina, and honestly the rest of the country are doing to help get things into Asheville and surrounding areas and a lot of those small rural towns, it's heartwarming to see, because it just hits a little bit close to home. And I'm sure Joey can relate to that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I've only lived in North Carolina for 3 years, but how welcome I felt, and people have been like, "How does it feel moving and doing all this stuff?" And this honestly feels like home. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm missing anything. And so I've kind of become a big, like, whatever I can do to help the state, let's make it happen. And I'm planting my roots. And so when we see beautiful stuff like this, I feel like I'm in the right place at the right time.
Well, it's a unique. We've only been here 5 months, and the way people are here is blown us away. Like, we fell in love with the city really quick, and the people, and unfortunately you see more when things get bad, and the amount of good that we have seen people do for each other, and the restaurants in town, because the city is made up of restaurants that are all local places, and they're all giving away free food and things for people. Anybody comes by, you need food, come by, we'll give you. I mean, it's a shame that it takes this sometimes to see it, but the way the people are here it's something pretty special, and to see that happen then around the rest of the state and the country has been it's heartwarming. It gets you. You just hope it never has to happen, but when it does, people step up and they do anything they can for others.
All right, Trish, I'm going to throw this over to you because you have a very important announcement for us.
I do. So WGI is accepting nominees for the WGI Hall of Fame for the Winter Color Guard activity. This time, percussion is accepted on an even number year. So as many people as are in the Hall of Fame, I could think of a ton of people who have not been nominated yet. So if you know one of those people, and you really have always thought about nominating them, now's the time. You have until November 15th at 11:59 p.m. And you can get all the information on how to nominate someone at WGI.org. /25 HOF nomination. It's all there. And I mean, it's just such an incredible opportunity to recognize, as we were just talking about, so many of the people who've done so many good things to help us get to where we are. I mean, it's just really important that they be recognized. So if you've ever been thinking about, that person should be in the Hall of Fame, get it going now.
Awesome. Okay, it's time to work on that new ending for this weekend, and we'll be right back as we dive deeper into disaster planning with Kevin and Jeannine.
Hey, this is Christine Ream.
And Chris Green.
Guard Closet was founded as a consignment business in 2000. Since then, it has grown to include winter guard, band, percussion, and other genres.
We can help you with custom flag and costuming designs.
Our consignment inventory has plenty of great looks for your color guard, drumline, and marching band.
Pay it forward. When you purchase consignment, you help other programs. Last year, we sold over 400 sets of consignments and returned over $125,000 in payments to our consigners for their sales.
Additionally, Guard Closet offers custom and pre-designed costumes, flags, floors, and formal wear, full or partial show writing, educational programming, and other services.
Max out your rehearsal time and set up a microsite for easy student ordering for shoes, gloves, and other equipment.
The Guard Closet team is here to help you get everything you want and need for your season. Check us out at guardcloset.com and follow us on social media.
So I don't want to waste any time at all because there is lots to discuss as it relates to disaster planning. As climate change ravages us more and more in the marching arts, we have to adapt, as we always do, to make everything amazing for our students. Joey, why don't you introduce our first clinician?
Absolutely. I'm super excited about this. Fellow North Carolinian, Kevin Young, is the band director at Enka High School. He's been there for 8 years. He was also at the Asheville Middle School for 4 years. Kevin, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Loving it. Loving life. We do something really cool on the podcast. We do a 32 count life story. So in 32 counts, you got 8 off the Met, and you're going to tell us everything from the day you were born to what you had for dinner tonight. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, so I was born 1990. I'm a fellow Western North Carolina. That's where I grew up and was raised. Let's see. I've been the band director at Enka High School for the last 8 years and very excited about this year until, of course, what we're going to talk about tonight. And dinner tonight, we had tortellini that my wife cooked right after work. So we're very excited about that, too.
Awesome.
Kevin, how was the tortellini?
It was excellent, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah,
now I'm
good.
hungry again.
Especially after marching band rehearsal.
Okay, Kevin, we are going to get back to all of your adventures in a minute, but I have got to give the mic over to one of my besties out there, all the way from up the street in Tarpon Springs, Florida, the one and only Miss Jeannine Ford. Jeannine. Hey, bestie.
Hi, bestie. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Good. Just getting off of rehearsal, so my voice is a little hoarse. I'm sure you guys understand that.
Oh, yeah, we totally do, because I just came from rehearsal, too, so I got you. Jeannine, you just heard Kevin do his 32 count life story. Now it is your turn. You are going to get 8 counts off the Met, and then you can tell us from birth to what you had for dinner tonight if you want to. We are here to listen. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
Okay, I was born in Boston. I've been doing drum corps since I was 4 years old. I marched in cadets of Bergen County, taught at Crossman and Carolina Crown. My husband is the band director of Tarpon. I've been here for a very long time. We have 2 color guards at Sunset Hills Elementary School, 1 color guard at Tarpon Middle, 2 at Tarpon High. I have 2 wonderful children. One is in luxury real estate. The other is DCI, WGI, and nursing student. And that's it. I haven't had dinner, so it's a little overwhelming. I'm not going to lie.
It is. It's a little bit intimidating when you try to pack so much stuff into a short amount of time, right? Okay, guys. So each of you has had to deal with some pretty extreme circumstances this year. So let's talk to each of you about what you've had to deal with and what are you doing to make things work. Kevin, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so we're still not even in school. We went out of school, I think, September 27th was our last day. And then the storm came the 28th and just completely wiped out neighborhoods. And I mean, it was really, really insane for this area. You know, we're 2,000 feet above sea level. So it's like you would never have thought 20 feet of water would just rush through a city like Asheville. So we actually start back school this upcoming Friday. Thank the Lord. We're happy about that. But it's on a weird schedule. But at least we're there. We can flush toilets. So they're going to let us go back just because of that. Yep. I never thought I'd take for granted flushing a toilet until now. So, but yeah, so how we've made things work, you know, for about 2.5 weeks, we didn't do anything. We couldn't. We learned our last set of drill the Friday before a week exactly before the hurricane came through. And we had 1 rehearsal and then that was it. And then 2.5 weeks, we were like, what are we going to do? You know, water was out of the entire city. 80% of Asheville did not have water for over 2 weeks. And there's still some parts that don't have water. So we've just really tried to bring morale by, you know, messaging the kids, keeping their spirits up, you know, just having a 2-hour, you know, come get your instrument, take it home and practice. And we all know they hung out and talked to each other because they want to care about each other. So, you know, we try to do things like that. And then finally got the green light last Monday to practice for a maximum of 2 hours a day. So we did that all week last week.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think it's probably good for your kids to be able to get back to that normal sense of something and taking that time to be with each other and just bond and fellowship with each other. I mean, that's important to those kids.
Yeah, we went to our first contest Saturday, so we were very excited just to, you know, show up and do something and, you know, survive that. So they were just excited to be able to have that opportunity again. Yeah.
What did that first rehearsal look like?
Oh gosh. Well, you know, so our drill writer Noah Bellamy, he writes a lot of numbers. So we were like 107 sets. I was like, you know, what are we going to remember that? You know, there's 107 sets and we just did like 40 in like a week. So it was interesting. It took them about 2 reps, but after about 2 reps, the kids were like, oh yeah, I go here. I was like, wait a minute, y'all actually remember that? Like, that's surprising. Because normally I would say they don't remember half of what they learn most of the time, but they really did a nice job and like they maintained so much. I mean, I was very proud of what they were able to do. And a lot of kids, especially my drum line, really practiced over that course of 2 weeks because they didn't have power. They've had nothing else to do. So maybe I should just take the power away more often.
Take the power and the phones away and we'll all see how much better our kids get. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did most of your kids end up being okay after all that stuff happened?
Yeah, so where we are, we're like 10 minutes west of downtown Asheville, so we're actually in Candler. And, you know, we got hit hard, but not like downtown. Like, I know you've probably seen the pictures of Biltmore Village and things like that. I mean, my wife works at the hospital, and she was there for like 4 days, and we went and saw her because, you know, we didn't have cell phone service either for almost a week. And you couldn't get out. I mean, the whole place was just underwater. It was crazy. I've never seen water like that. So, but yeah, for our kids, it was pretty okay. But there's a lot of places that cannot even, you know, go back. Little towns, Chimney Rock, just wiped out. No, you can't even get to it.
Wow.
You know, I was talking in the first segment about, you know, in Florida, we know that hurricanes are coming and we kind of prepared for them. You guys in North Carolina, you did not expect this type of situation from a hurricane. You know, mostly you thought maybe you would get some rain from a low pressure system, but it was still, you know, fierce winds and extreme amounts of rain.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think the craziest thing for us is that it rained 2 days before nonstop. So the ground was already soft and, you know, just just crazy. And then the hurricane came in that next morning, and just like it went. I mean, I couldn't believe the amount of rain and the trees, and I mean the wind just blew over like half my fence that we built when we bought this house, and just like never expected that. And we were supposed to host our 50th band festival the day after Helene, and I was on Thursday night going, "Hey, we might still be able to host this." And then I was like, "Yeah, that ain't happening now." So we, of course, canceled it. But yeah, it was. You'd never expect that around here ever.
Yeah. Well, I know that Jeannine and I got to see each other the week after Helene happened, and Helene didn't even directly hit us on the west coast of Florida. It came near us and flooded out everywhere and flooded Tarpon Springs heavily. And I was with Jeannine as we found out that Milton was heading directly at us. So we were having a conversation about what had happened in the first hurricane while simultaneously starting to think about how we were going to prepare the next day for Milton. So Jeannine, tell us, your story of what was going on in Tarpon that week, because you had some sad stories, but wonderful as well.
You know what? First and foremost, I just wanted to say thank you for hosting this. And Kevin, my heart goes out to you and your band family and your area. Like Ricardo was saying, I think what's different is, and not that having time to prepared us for what was coming. I'm just kind of reflecting as you were talking, and I just remember like packing up our family and, with my kids going like, you have one backpack, whatever you can fit in that one backpack, make sure it's a great memory, and just kind of trying to explain the significance of what you have in that backpack could be the only thing that you have, and just driving away from the neighborhood, just thinking that was the last time we were going to see the house, the cars, and everything. So yes, the first hurricane, it hit Tarpon pretty hard. We lost, I'm sure a lot of you know Molly Favre and Tyler Edrington. They lost the whole downstairs of their house. They lost their car. We had 10 to 15 students lose just about everything, and just kind of reflecting back on that moment, I think for us, it was, we lost electricity, just like Kevin, and just not being able to find out whether or not all of the kids were safe was something that was a little hard for us. And then when we were able to, I think it was something like 900,000 people in our community were without power. So, it took us a long time just to even navigate. Is everybody okay? Is everybody safe? Where did they relocate to? How can we kind of get in touch with them to see whether or not they're even in the area? We had a lot of kids that went to the Carolinas or Atlanta, just moved out of the area just to escape, the first hurricane. So just like Ricardo said, we're dealing with the first hurricane. We're realizing that everybody's safe. We lost a lot. The debris that's on everybody's front lawn is just insurmountable. And that is still there, so we're finishing one hurricane, the next one's coming in. We have all this debris everywhere. And, somewhere in between all of that, we had one rehearsal. And just like Kevin was saying, the door opens to the band room, to the guard space, and kids are just walking in and they're just, they're kind of crying. They're so happy. They're hugging each other. And it was in that moment that you realize, the materialistic things really didn't matter. It was the love and the connections. And just seeing them have that moment was, for me, life-changing. So fast forward, getting out on the field, just like Kevin was saying, it took us maybe 1 or 2 reps, and the energy, the effort, the camaraderie, the connections, everything just kind of locked in, and they were in it. So talking to a few parents, the parents were super excited that we were able to create that energy for the kids, because they felt like, not that it relates to COVID really, but like in a way it does. Because for us, it was, we felt like we had lost everything. I'm sure, Kevin, it's the same thing, so we're coming back together. the parents are like, we want our kids to be kids. We don't want them to deal with devastation and loss. And, we want them to be happy and, to have this opportunity. So going into our first competition was great. We were able, that's where, I met up with Ricardo, and, then we realized this other storm is going to be worse. I live in Oldsmar, so it was one of those places where all three bodies of water were going to hit us. And, that's when reality really, I think, hit us all. So I feel like I'm being so down, but there's a positive to this. So the second hurricane hits, we're all okay. We have no electricity. We have no water, like Kevin was saying. We're not allowed to use the drinking water. We're not allowed to flush toilets and all of these things. And slowly, Pinellas County starts to come back from it. We see pockets of electricity coming back on. We're able to get in touch with our students. And I think that was Tuesday, and we're supposed to be hosting our competition OMF. And so I remember having a conversation with my husband, and we're, the uncertainty of, one, can we pull this off? Are there enough bands in Florida that are able to come to the competition? Should we even try to do that? Is the community ready for that? So we're just dealing with all of these emotions. And the superintendent, his son is in the band, and he sends out a message, and he said, Pinellas is coming back to school on Wednesday. And that was the first thought where we hey, can we do this? Do we have enough time? Does the community want that? I think it really put life in perspective for us, going the arts, they really do make a difference in kids' lives. And
100%.
And again, I'm trying not to get emotional, but it is still, I'm sure, Kevin, it's still raw, or Ricardo, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you just have so much love for these kids, and they've worked so hard, and I think that we all just felt like we needed to present an opportunity for them, whatever that looked like, whether it was a full show or just for part one and part two, to just try to, bring things back to normal. And so, we were fortunate enough to be able to do that. We had our contest on Saturday. We had 23 bands. The stands were full, and each group got a standing ovation. And it was so amazing just to see them. Again, it's like that first WGI that we came back from COVID, and it was it didn't matter what you did. It didn't matter how well you did it. What mattered was you were there, you were present, and everybody could appreciate, whatever it was that you were providing.
Yeah, I always feel like whenever we go through something like this, I remember back when I went through Katrina, when I still lived in Mississippi, and being out of school for days. And the first thing that we were able to do was to go back and have a band rehearsal. Just the amount of understanding that every single person in the organization went through something serious and traumatic. And this was the thing that we get to do to bring us back to our normal selves, to get us back in a spirit of creating and performing and just that level of passion. And like you said, taking your mind off of the devastation, because, driving down the street here in my neighborhood, there's still all of the debris from my yard is in my
100%.
front yard right now. There's signs still blown over. There's still traffic signals in town that, are blown upside down or that don't have power. And the Hurricane Milton actually touched land in Bradenton, which is where the school that I teach is. And I got to see this amazing picture yesterday of the eye and what the eye looked like as it was coming across through the town. And it's just an eerie feeling. And I'm so the first thing that I thought was, I'm so glad that all of my kids are okay.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff can be replaced. We can relearn show. We can not do the entire show. I just want my kids to be okay. And it seems like they've come out of it and they're eager. They're ready. They have more of a fire lit under them because they lost time and they want to be with each other and hang out, but they also want to make sure that they're like respecting their friends who did lose things. We had kids that lost homes, that lost cars. And there's sadness in all of it, but there's also this rebirth that happens. So it's an interesting process.
Yeah, and I agree with everything that you just said, Ricardo. I think too, in all of that, it's like we have this energy here, and we're able to, I'll say, control that. But they are still having difficult times because they're driving back home. 10 to 15 of our families lost their cars, lost everything. So, where we're in control here, they're still going back home to, the devastation. And I think that that's why it's so important that we were able to provide, some sort of normalcy to them. And adaptability is a huge thing. We're trying to teach them to adapt to unpredictable situations, and whether it's weather or whatever the disruption is, find alternative ways to be successful.
Yeah. Kevin, I'm going to throw this over to you now. So what has been the best thing that you think has come out of this tragedy?
I think that really, truly the best thing, it's just seeing the kids' resiliency and seeing them not take for granted what before this storm did. They would take for granted even a water break, or we would do this, we would do that. And just seeing them come to this activity and really give it a much better effort and just really dive into it and believe in themselves to go, tomorrow this could change. The next day, this could change. And the next day, this could change. And they just continue to work through that, and just being good humans. I think that these types of situations change people. I know, for us, the first couple of days, it was hearing the stories afterwards of people getting shot over gas or not being able to eat grocery stores. I'm like, I would have never thought, we didn't have a gas shortage. We didn't have a grocery shortage. It was just people freaking out. And then the next thing you know, 5 seconds later, everyone is helping everybody. Every neighbor is helping everybody. They're walking through the neighborhood. Seeing my kids at Ingalls in line to get gas somewhere, because I live 45 seconds from the high school. And so I see the kids all the time in the community. So just really seeing them and seeing what this can do for people and bringing the best out of humanity. Because even in the darkest times of that, I think there's so much more good that comes out of it. And just, people that they care about people. And just seeing that in our kids and our program and our administration. I mean, I had my administrators bringing, big trash cans with water that I had to scoop a bucket out. The kid used the bathroom, throw it in the toilet, and automatically flushes. Just seeing that camaraderie and coaches and just everything that not only the arts but athletics. I mean, we started athletics and band at the same time. That was one of the first things our superintendent allowed to happen. He was just we've got to get these kids something. And so I really think that's the most important thing that's come out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeannine, you always have these little pearls of wisdom, and I love it when I get them in text messages or in conversations with you. So what advice would you give to people after this situation?
Just don't take life for granted, and don't take people for granted, connections for granted. And when we're talking to the students, trying to get them to understand that, tomorrow's not promised to us. And that's hard at 13, 14. They feel like they're indestructible. And when they walked in, and just to kind of just have them breathe for a second and, see that their friend made it through this, and to be able to, to see them, to hug them, that was a reality check for all of them. So I would say, don't take things for granted, and really teach team spirit. I think that that's a big thing too. Is even though faced all of these challenges and the uncertainty of the season. I think, we're learning perseverance, we're learning determination, we're learning all those great buzzwords. But I also think that, the team spirit and building each other up is a good tool to have as well.
Okay, how about we switch all of this up and hear from each of you in a segment that we like to call, What Are We Doing?
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Okay, Kevin, you are first up. Tell us, what are we doing?
I'll repeat something I said earlier. Is what are we doing? Riding 107 sets of drill for kids. I'll say it.
Yeah.
I know it's my fault. That's what it is. My brain goes crazy, and I go, I want all these ideas together, and and the reality is these are high school kids, and not many of them are drum corps, and they don't do that kind of stuff for all the time. So
hey, Kevin, can I tell you that we didn't have 107 sets in our drum corps show this summer?
Well, I will say this. I mean, when I say 107 sets, that includes the holds. That includes the holds too. So it's it might be move 16, hold 30 something or whatever it is. So when I say 107, I'm really mean.
Again,
probably more like
we didn't have 107 sets in our drum corps show this summer. So what are you doing?
Yeah,
so that your kids will they'll remember this forever. They'll be like, remember in 2024 when we had the hurricane and we still learned 107 sets of drill. That's why.
The kids are going to say, well, what are you not doing learning 107 sets?
42 sets for a show? What are you talking about?
Back in my day.
Yeah, I definitely didn't do that many, for sure. Oh, man. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's it. What are we doing with that? And, just thinking back to the hurricane, what are we doing now? What are we doing right now? And what we're doing is we are hanging on. We are learning. We're making the best of it. And the kids are, the progress they made from last Monday to really today was just unbelievable. It's 9 days from even Saturday, and we've had one rehearsal. So yeah. So we're just very excited, and yeah, keep trucking.
Keep on trucking.
Did you guys do okay?
Yeah, we did all right. In the day show, our electronic Ethercon cord ripped out on the way back, but so no sound. And when you're doing an airplane show, you gotta have some sound.
Yeah.
So you just hear all
the electronics.
Hey, yeah, I know. I'll blame Markworth on that one. No, I'm kidding.
Jeannine, it's your turn. What are we doing?
I'm going to tag on to what Kevin said. So what are we doing? Trying to put on 11 minutes and 56 seconds worth of a show. Have it be just as produced as if we didn't have two hurricanes and rivers overflowing. And attend the BOA Orlando Regional this Saturday. I think we're crazy. But I also think that it is a great thing because it gives the kids a goal, and right now it forces them to just be future orientated and not so much look at the past and just kind of have a goal for the future. So what do we do? I don't know if we have 114 sets though. I'm going to count, Kevin.
I hope you do, so I don't feel so bad.
You guys are superheroes for that. So, that being said, you know what? I think that we need to have our Gush and Goes.
Great job, everyone. Set your equipment down. Gush and Go.
Okay, Kevin, you get to go first. What are you gushing and going about this week?
Oh, man. We were gushing and going over some Top Gun. That's the end of our closer, and we are just we got electric guitars standing on a real airplane. We've got a real airplane on the field, and we are just gushing all over that. And just Jose, I'm being serious. We have a real airplane. It's not a lie. A real airplane on the field. Yeah.
What kind of airplane?
It was actually a crop duster plane. School in Georgia, South Paulding, I think, used it for 2 years.
Wow.
And so we bought it, and really wanted to do this airplane show. Our 50th Land of the Sky show was supposed to be at the end of September, but now it's like November 2nd. And so we were trying to do like a show that contributed to Jets, and that's because that's our name, the Inca Jets, and all that. So we tried to tie all that in, and I just happened to see this airplane, and I was like, I'm crazy, I'm going to go buy this airplane, and we turned it into like a Top Gun thing, and we get the little guitar player on the plane, it lights up, smokes, all that stuff. So yeah, we're gushing over that right now.
Sweet.
What is that? How do you travel with that? What? How do you?
Oh, it breaks
It's live.
Hey, listen.
Show to show. Duh.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah, you just landed. My bad.
No. Well, for the right, we did put a nose on it, so it looks more like a fighter jet because you don't want a crop duster plane on the field for Top Gun. So we did edit a little bit, but yeah. So it actually, the way that those guys engineered it, they ripped everything out of the cockpit except for the seat, and they put it all on wheels. So the wings come apart. The cockpit and the something lodge, I can't remember. I'm not a
fuselage.
Yeah, thank you. Fuselage comes apart and it just rolls. We roll it out on the field, and the parents, you put it together. You can take. I can take it apart by myself. I can push 3/4 of it. I cannot. The cockpit I cannot push by myself. That thing's like 300 pounds.
Let's make Enka some money. How much? How are you selling it at the end of the season? How can I want to do something with it right now.
We are going to sell that and the flight suits that we bought and the whole 9 yards. So for sure.
Halloween.
Does your Jets team have an Aaron Rodgers on it too?
No.
I think
our football team has the same record as the New York Jets.
Oh,
so
okay.
That helps. We're like 2-5.
I think. So. Well, I live in New Jersey, and although I'm a Giants fan, I'm sure there are plenty of people, even in my neighborhood, that would be willing to give you Aaron Rodgers for your team.
I don't think that'd help us.
Okay.
This has become the sports ball episode more than the hurricane relief
It is
episode.
all about sports. This is the On a Water Break from a Sports Ball Game podcast this week.
We're actually partnered with MLB and NFL and the NBA. So thank you to our sponsors.
Jeannine, what would you like to gush and go about this week?
Well, I know nothing about sports, guys, so I'm sorry.
Same.
I know what's his name? Tom Brady, only because I grew up in Boston. So that's the only real name that I know. But my gush and go is the kids came up with some catchphrases. So they call themselves, we are Tarpon Springs. We're built Ford tough, and we are awakening from the storm. The show is called The Awakening. So,
wow.
They're running back to their sets, and they're just kind of screaming all these things, and they call themselves the Storm. Something funny too is in some of the choreography, if they release and the toss is a little too fast, they're like, "Whoa! It's not Hurricane Milton. It's only." I'm not sure if that's the right thing, but I'm letting them do it because. It's softening the mood, the moment. Yeah. So
I love that.
We all cope in different ways,
Kids will be kids regardless of where they are. It doesn't matter if they're from a little tiny town in Illinois, or they're from Hebron or Tarpon Springs. Band kids are still band kids.
Band kid's gonna band kid.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Oh, man.
Hey, it's called Gush and Go, not Gush and Stay. Let's go.
Okay, so this was amazing. Thank both of you for being here, being so open and honest and raw with us about your experiences and this devastating time and how your band programs are slowly but surely coming back to normalcy and thriving. Kevin, where can people find you or your band on social media?
Yeah, they can just look up Inca Bands on Facebook or Instagram, or go to our website at incaband.com. Pretty easy.
Awesome. And Jeannine, what about you?
Oh, well, actually, can I do a plug really quickly?
Please do.
So, the Tarpon Springs community, and again, Kevin, probably the same thing for you. They've always sponsored the band programs, and they've helped us with. Just donating to the kids and all of that. And right now, if anybody wants to come down to the Tarpon community, we're trying to rebuild the sponge docks so they could really use patrons. Come to the restaurants, go down Main Street. There's some great shops and everything like that. So the community that has helped, the Color Garden and band program, and they've always shown their support. Just wanted to see if there's anybody out there that, could come down and show their support and, get some Greek food, purchase some sponges. There's all natural sponges down at the sponge dock. So, come and help our community rebuild.
Come on,
Definitely
Team
the
Florida.
sponges that I use at my house are all from the sponge dock. So you know what? It's time for me to make a trip up there and come grab some more. Where can our friends find you on social media, Jeannine?
Okay, so you can find us on social media. We have numerous accounts. Tarpon Springs Percussion has their own social media. Tarpon Springs Conservatory for the Arts, that's more the marching band. Tarpon Springs Color Guard. So we're on numerous entities in the social media realm, and Instagram. I think we probably have numerous Instagram accounts as well. So just search Tarpon Springs and you'll find us.
All right. Okay, everyone, back out for a few more chunks and then a full run. What are we doing? And more Gush and Goes are next.
Hey everyone, it's Jeremy, your producer from On a Water Break, and here are your announcements coming from the box. While you're enjoying this amazing episode, don't forget our other episodes, including the one about Peggy Twiggs, the one where we go behind the scenes of the Olympics and the marching arts. We check out the first female drummers from Crossman. We also have amazing special features, including At Step Off with Jack Goudreau, Lost in Translation with Cynthia Bernard, and Behind the Lens with Chris Marr and Russell Tanakaya. Don't forget our other bonus feature, On a Water Break With, where we explore individuals or small groups. We talk to people like Eric Carr, Forte Athletics, and comedian Tony Deo. If you know of a story, or you know of someone that would make a great story, email us at onawaterbreakpodcast@gmail.com. Okay, field staff, take it away.
And we are back. Wow, what a great conversation with Jeannine Ford and Kevin. I just love me some Jeannine, guys. She is just the living, breathing example of how to do everything right and just is always so cool. She warms my heart. But guess what, friends? It is time for What Are We Doing?
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Okay, friends, you know the deal. This is your time to dish or rant on something that just drives you crazy and ask, what are we doing? Trish, what are we doing?
Well, I'm almost ready to change my what are we doing to what are my friends doing, spamming me in the group chat about my beloved New York Yankees. So I'm almost ready to change it to that. I got a Dodger fan up in here. I got an Astro fan up in here. I don't even know what's going on. So I'm almost ready to change it to that. However, what was I doing 2 weeks ago when I had a band show? Well, I didn't have a band show. I had a Sunday show that weekend, and I watched a marching band show on Flow Marching in Texas. So, what was I doing on a day off? But there was some really cool stuff. But I do have some questions. I don't know if any of y'all are from Texas or have been around the Texas scene at all. What was that wind doing? Oh my God. What was that wind doing? Those poor guard kids, from jump. It was bad. The wind was so bad. I felt so bad for those kids. But another thing that I noticed, judge blockers. You know those props across the front? Are those a thing again? Because we ain't seen those in
Panels,
Jersey.
like front panels.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they make their
There's-
appearances. They're in and out every now and then.
Because I was talking to my band director about it. We ain't seen those in Jersey in like a minute.
There were some at BOA finals last year.
I don't know why. It's actually a cool concept. We've used them before in the past, but I was like, every single band had judge blockers. I was like, are we doing that again? Or are we not
Bring
cool
it
anymore?
back.
Like
Bring it
you know,
back.
up here in the Northeast, are we like not cool anymore? Should we be doing that? I don't know. But that was my takeaway from that show. Some incredible performances, but a couple of moments. So
You know, they say that there's no defense in marching band, but maybe there is. This is an interesting take.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I didn't even think of it as a judge blocker. I never heard that term, but now I'm a fan, and that is what I'm going to call them permanently.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they do. That's not why we use them, but that is what they do.
I just thought of them as equipment blockers, so I didn't have to see people's yard sales all over the field.
Mm-hmm.
That crazy. What are we doing about that?
It cleans the field.
Pat, speaking of you and cleaning the field, what are we doing?
This was an interesting one because I was a little challenged on this one. But I will throw in what is in my brain right now, which is what are we doing finishing the fall season while simultaneously designing for the winter season and for the summer season for those of us that are designing in the summertime.
There it is.
This week I've had two
personally attacked.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, it's just what it is. And it doesn't happen like this because of the summer. The summer is the big one, because that's the one that requires almost a 12-month-a-year system. So you have that lined up with what we're doing in the winter and what we're all doing still now. And it's just, I had a winds call, a drumline call, a drum corps call, and then other fall things happening all in the first 2.5 days of this week, or 1.5 days of the week. And it's only Tuesday. So, you know.
Oh, I got you beat. Just in today, this afternoon, I was at my regular job, which is now at the school district office. I left there, had a conversation about the drum corps on my way to a marching band rehearsal, had marching band rehearsal while one of my design clients was texting me from another school. And then on my way home, I was having a conversation with another design client. And then I got on this podcast. So it never stops.
Yeah, I mean, it's what it is. And I'm doing River City this year, so that has brought back my summer. My summer schedule has now not gotten busy, but it definitely has added one thing to my list.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
That's
I'm excited.
crazy. Yeah, I actually just had a phone call on Thursday about fall 2025. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I mean,
where are we at?
What are they doing?
What are we doing? We hadn't even finished this season.
They're like, it's not working out with this drill writer. And I was like, well, you should definitely spend the rest of the season with this drill writer. And they're like, yeah, but we've already picked the show. We know what our numbers are going to be pretty consistently every year. We're just lining this up. And we want to know, like, will you jump on these design calls that start November 12th? I was like, that's crazy.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, we're not even done November 12th.
Yeah.
That's not even championships for us. Yeah. Oh my goodness!
I said I'll jump on calls after Thanksgiving. I need to give myself a break. Yeah.
Oh my!
That's a good. What are we doing?
That is a good. What are we doing? Eros, tell us, what are we doing?
I guess my what are we doing isn't too crazy since I'm not a band director nor a show designer or a tech just yet, but the common issue I found with a lot of like different ensembles and programs I'm in is like my higher ups or my directors always posting like important information at the last minute. It's kind of like my thing too, because for example the BOA trip here, like we just got our schedule like today and it's on Thursday. Or sometimes whenever I did drum corps 2 years with a corps down in Georgia called Atlanta CV, and sometimes like I wouldn't get that information until the day of the show. So, and then my other one kind of would be kind of silly, but like Like it's whenever like I try to like find my Shaco, and then like someone takes my like Shaco, and like yeah. Okay.
What are we
They got
doing
numbers
to
for a
other
reason.
people's stuff?
Yeah, they got
exactly.
numbers on them.
Do we all love how Eros had like no what are we doings and came up with 2?
Yeah.
Do we all love that?
Welcome to the podcast, Eros. You are now a host.
Right.
Good work.
Eros just casually threw Joey under the bus right there. I love that.
Yeah, I was like, that's definitely me. Yeah, things are much better this year at Eva. We've definitely been mom and pop and like, hey, just come this weekend and we'll figure it out. But yeah, I'm I'm also who Eros is complaining about right now as a former director of his.
Get God, Joey.
Well, Joey, that's the perfect segue into your what are we doing?
I don't want to make Trish upset, but yeah, I'll it'll be, this is a teamwork thing here. I'll say, what are we doing? Having band competitions the weekend of the start of the World Series.
Yes,
how about that?
That part.
Let's do that. I will say I'm very excited for this World Series. This isn't band related, but oh my goodness, it's the only thing that I do that's not band related, and it's support my Los Angeles Dodgers. Go Dodgers, go Yankees. Honestly, after what is it 40 years 40 years we're back together in the series.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 12th time we get to compete.
I was an Orioles fan. I've been an Orioles fan since I was a kid. So the fact that they left after the first couple of games,
it's like the American League is up in here anyway.
But I was happy. I was happy that the Yankees and the Dodgers, because that's old school. That's the it should be that way. That's
a big rivalry. Yeah.
I had a conversation with my band director today, and there's a game Friday night, and we don't perform at the away games, but since the color guard sort of has to go and wants to go because the football teams are really good, I make them bring their equipment and we spin just like we would be performing at halftime. Like, all right, we're going to come out at the end of first quarter and then we'll go watch the other band, and then you get your snacks, and then we're going to, spin again. So we were a little short on staff for buses this weekend. I was like, even before the Yankees clinched, I was like, listen, the color guard volunteers to stay back at the school and practice. I think I'll do a little you're missing the game, but I'll have one of the moms bring hot chocolate, all that kind of stuff, right? So I thought that was still the plan. So when Eros is over here talking about he didn't get the schedule until, today, I didn't get the schedule for the weekend until today. And I was like, oh my God, it says on here everybody's going to the game. So I texted the band director. I was like, what's the deal with Friday? And she's like, well, my plan is we'll just still take 3 buses, but we'll just put all the equipment on one bus so nobody has to chaperone this bus. I was like, all right, so I'm good. Short rehearsal with the color guard till 7:30, let them go. She's like, well, no, I would still need you to chaperone one of the buses. I'm like, it's game 1. I've waited since 2009 for this. It's game 1. But it's all right. Our football team is really good. So they don't stop the clock after it gets to 35-0. So hopefully it'll be, and I'll be home. So
I just really hope that the video of this comes out so everyone can see Trish's face when she said it's game 1. The level of disappointment and disrespect.
Oh.
As the resident Astros fan in here, who has had to put up with this for the last 7 years,
that's your problem.
Simultaneously watching baseball and doing band, it's been fun, and it actually is not as hard as you think it is. I know. Yankees and Dodgers fans are rookies.
Yeah, but don't the Astros have a way to tell you before the game? They got a way to figure everything else out with wires and everything else. Don't they have a way to tell you before the game whether they're going to win or not?
Well, how many times they hit the trash can?
I don't think it works like that.
Are they playing at home or are they playing away? We can't win at home, but we can win on the road.
Isn't it 2 taps on the trash can? We're going to win tonight.
Oh, my
3 taps on the trash can.
Oh, here we go.
This is what I was hoping would happen. Yeah,
I knew this was going to happen. It happens every time.
Love it.
All you listeners out there, the girl not only knows the marching arts, she knows baseball too. Okay.
Oh goodness!
Yay, sports ball!
I do have to clarify that this happens in the group chat as well on a somewhat consistent basis.
It does.
So this is not
100%
just podcast things. This also happens via text.
I'm just glad I brought it to life so the listeners could see what goes on behind the scenes. Appreciate y'all.
All right, Austin, it's your turn. What are we doing?
Oh goodness! All right. First of all, what are we doing? Not canceling the World Series because the Yankees and the Dodgers both suck. But I'm done. I'm done.
Wait, what?
Yankees and Dodgers both suck. So what are we doing? Not canceling the World Series.
Austin,
you know what?
When I get my season ticket package at Christmas, because my boyfriend is very generous and gets me a season ticket package at Christmas, if I have an Astros game on there, you coming up and you going with me because I want you to hear everything that's said at Yankee Stadium. Every single thing that's said at Yankee Stadium.
I'm okay with it. I'll go. I will go. I'm gonna probably get some sort of food or beverage item thrown on me at one point, but I'm about it.
1,000%. And it might be by me.
I would also like to go.
A Yankees fan, an Astros fan, and a Dodgers fan enter Yankee Stadium. What could possibly go wrong?
I don't know much about sports ball, but I don't know that that's going to work out well for somebody.
No.
Not me. I'll tell you that right now. It's not going to work out well for me.
Old school drum corps style.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, what are we doing what are we doing not watching all these fabulous BOA bands at their regionals? Like I got a little snippet of the super regional in Indianapolis last weekend. Goodness.
You're leading into my what are we doing? Do you want to? Can I tag team off of this for you?
Let's do it. Let's feed off.
So I am. I'm not purchasing another streaming service just because I have plenty. So I'm getting my little snippets of the BOA season from social media. What are we doing? Getting to that one moment where we build up and it's like a beautiful solo is playing, and then we're going to get to that moment where there's about to be an amazing flag feature, and then we cut it off.
Yes.
What are we doing about that?
It's happening. I hate to say it. It's happening in Texas more often than anywhere else right now.
I just want to see a little double flag feature. I just want to see that big giant swing flag open up. Like, that's what I live for. And give me like 32 counts of that phrase. And then you can cut it off. They cut it off on count one every time. Every single time.
If you kind of watch and listen, musically it kind of cuts off too. I'm just like,
yeah,
where's the effect moment? Like, it's
what
there.
You doing?
You get me there, and it's like, oh great, yeah, we're not there yet. Okay.
I get this just like snippet and a little taste of it, and then it's gone. It just, it's driving me crazy. What are we doing?
Cindy's been talking about that.
Great job, everyone. Set your equipment down. Gush and Go.
All right, people. We are now to our Gush and Goes. Trish, I think I already know what you're going to gush and go about, but go ahead, sister.
I was going to gush and go about my winter guard going to Dayton for the first time this year, but if you want me to do the Yankees are in the World Series, I can do that too.
No, we've had enough of that.
I'm going to go back to what are we doing about making our podcast about the marching arts all about sports ball today.
So my Northern Valley Winter Guard, Combined Schools Winter Guard, who has been in existence since 2016, made its ranks up from novice regional A, now it's classic A, is going to Dayton this year.
Congratulations!
Thank you. Super excited, nervous.
Exciting. Is this your first time to take this group to
this group? Yes,
WJ?
this group. Okay. This group, yeah. So I'm excited.
It's a fun time when you get to go for that first trip with kids.
The logistics are, making me crazy because the band director's doing this for the first time. And that's why I'm texting y'all in the group chat. I'm like, dude, how y'all getting your kids there? Because $12,000 for a bus from New Jersey is a lot of money. But I think we're going to fly, and we're looking into, what we're going to do about that. So, don't
WJ has it discounted.
Yeah, we're doing all. We're looking into all that.
Look at the group rates on Southwest.
Oh, okay. I'll take any advice I could get, honestly. So it's really exciting. I mean, I remember the first time I even brought them to a show in 2016, the little novice group, and now here we go. So
That's
I don't.
growth.
And the kids keep talking about on a water break. So they're like, "Can we be on it?" I'm like, I don't know how that works, like with clearances and school stuff, but whatever. I'll get them. They might swing by the tent, and whatever. That'll be cool. But really excited.
Awesome. All right, Pat.
I'm actually super excited to be hopping on the team at River City, and we're also bringing out a Wins group this year. So we're doing two things with them. So adding to the Wins groups in WGI, which is always an exciting part, while still being a part of what I do with Horizon and some other groups. And so just having a new team to work with and continuing to grow that part of the activity has been a goal of mine since we started all that. I'm just excited about it.
Hey, Pat, what class they coming out in?
A class.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Eros, what do you want to gush and go about?
Ooh, as a music major at here at WCU, I just kind of want to gush and go about how like I'm passing my classes and surviving my second year here so far. So college is hard, especially as a music major when you have like bazillion jillion classes, and yeah.
That's awesome. All right, Joey.
I really don't have anything other than we're almost done with band here in North Carolina. We got 2 more weeks, so we're just going to continue pushing. BOA is coming up, so I'll see everybody there. It sounds like I'm going to be at Midwest this year. So if you want to come hang out at Midwest or in Indy here in about a month, come hang out, come say hi, let's vibe out. And starting winter stuff. Eva's got their first audition coming up in 2 weeks. We're super excited about that. And that's about it. Yeah. I'm just banding.
Nice.
Yeah.
Austin, what are you gushing and going about?
I got 2, but I'll make it quick, I promise. So Jeremy, don't yell at me. First of all, officially announced, I am going to be doing design work for Forward Winds out of Arizona. I'm going to be coming in open class. I don't think we're going to go to Dayton this year. We're just trying to kind of reestablish the program, get a couple things working. But I'm really excited to get to work with the team. Seems like a great group of people so far. I've had great conversations with them, but I would not be in this position without my dear friend Pat. That's my other gush and go. Having people like Pat in my corner to support me. We love Pat. He's been around for he's been around my kind of career for.
He marched with Jesus, so
I know he did.
Oh wow!
But he's not as old as Todd.
No. I'm AD. He's BC.
Exactly.
All right. Well,
yeah, he's great. I love Pat. He's been around since 2017, and he's taught me, and we've taught together, and it's just such a fun relationship that we've had. And just a quick shout out to Pat because
we got to go to Hawaii in the fall. So.
We did go to Hawaii together.
Yeah, I'm jealous of that. Well, I am going to gush and go and say that today I finished writing my last feature for my marching band show. Now all I have left to write are transitions.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no, not the transitions.
Transition time now. So, we're in a good place.
Okay.
Can't wait to see him.
Hey, it's called Gush and Go, not Gush and Stay. Let's go.
Thanks, everybody, for a great rehearsal this week. Thanks to our hosts, Trish, Joey, and Austin. Eros, where can they find you on social media?
I have an Instagram. It's named Fix It Grunt, so FIXITGRUNT. So if they want to follow me, they can follow me there.
Awesome. And Pat, what about you?
Just Pat Miller on Facebook, and I also have Pat Doing Things on Instagram, which I have to get going again, but it's a fun one that my daughters put together a couple years ago. Shows what I'm doing at the time. So
Nice.
Cool. Thank you to our other guest clinicians, Kevin Young and Jeannine Ford. You can follow them on their social medias. There will be links in our social media to get to them. And one more thing, don't forget that we have our YouTube channel now that has many of our interviews coming out as full video editions. Go and subscribe so you don't miss those. So before you close out of your podcast listening app, go subscribe, write us a review, and share with a friend. Follow us on social media at On a Water Break, and we'll see you at the next rehearsal on a water break.
We did it.
The On a Water Break podcast was produced by Jeremy Williams and Christine Ream. The intro and outro music was produced by Josh Lyda. To learn more, visit lydamusic.com. And until next time, thanks for tuning in.